Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome to a special collab in Orchid Bay. Overcharged Egg has let us loose in what is one of the best city Skylines cities that we've ever had on YouTube. And I'm absolutely honoured to be here. I was looking around, I was like, how can I actually build anything which is going to live up to Overcharged Egg's building style? And I came to the realisation that that was just not going to happen, so I decided that actually we'd just have some fun.
Astrologists report that a devastating meteor will strike the city in the near future. A meteor strike has occurred. Avoid the impact site and head to shelter if any is available.
Just kidding. So this is the third collab between myself and Overcharged Egg. If you haven't checked out our collabs between our ILOS and Origin series, they are linked in the description below. But this is the first time I'm building vanilla in an Egg city, so I am incredibly nervous. Like, Egg is the absolute master of vanilla detailing. I mean, you look at some of these builds, like this zoo here is just absolutely gorgeous. This little green cities district on this hillside is magnificent. This is one of my favourites actually in Orchid Bay. And of course we've got Man Mountain, the park up here with this view down to this downtown. The whole way he's laid out this couplet system that flows through the whole of Orchid Bay is just awesome as well. It goes down, right down onto the waterfront out here as we go up towards the downtown. Like, all of this little detailing, it's just stunning. Asset selection so carefully placed as well. Just everything about it. It feels like such an alive city, like no other vanilla city really that I've seen on YouTube. It's just incredible, incredible work. So I really am genuinely nervous to build in this city. And it kind of gave me free rein to do whatever I wanted. Now, there's not that much space left. Like, this city is pretty complete. So when we look at the 25 tile boundary here, he's really built out a lot, and there are a few little spaces that stand out. There's this whole space here, for example, next to Imperator's amazing Air Force base. What an incredible collab that was. But what I've decided is actually I'm going to go down here, close to Sharon, close to our Falco's Atoms and More nuclear plant, in this little valley area. And what I'd like to do today is create a family fun adventure park, essentially. Now, the main place that I've taken for inspiration from this is actually Lapa Valley in Cornwall, which is kind of an adventure park. And it's interesting because it has a train line that you have to get the train through to get through to this massive valley, which has tons of adventure stuff in it for kids. That's really what I want to do here, except for we're not going to bring the train line in. We've got the train running round next to it, so that's pretty exciting. And I may even bring in a station further along the line to get people to and from this area. We'll see if that works once the build is in later on. But yeah, this is the area that we're going to be working with. Egg has given me permission to move this radio tower, so that's the first thing we're going to do, just to give ourselves a little bit more room here. So I think I'm going to pop it over here. I hope that placement is okay, and then it kind of makes a nice little feature next to our nuclear power plant in front of Sharon over there. And then we're going to rework this network slightly just to give ourselves a little bit more space. Just like that. And I have also noticed as well that this is kind of struggling with the traffic a bit here. There's a lot coming in either direction. And we're going to end up with more traffic, let's face it, with our adventure park over this side. And I'm kind of seeing that a lot of people are wanting to go straight on. Okay, not that one, not this one, not that one. And I was kind of noticing there's quite a few people just wanting to turn in that way. And I'm wondering if that is blocking the traffic. There's a lot of people wanting to go both ways there. So I'm thinking actually we'll just change up this intersection a little bit before we get started, just so that we don't cause any more traffic by building in this area. Like that. So it's definitely not as cute as Egg's roundabout, but it seems to be helping with the traffic and is quite functional in reality in that area. So yeah, we've got a bit more space to work with here, so let's go ahead and clear out the trees as well. I know Egg is close to the tree count, I believe, in Orchid Bay, so I don't want to I don't want to be hiding any trees unnecessarily, so we'll go ahead and remove those from this area, and then we'll place them back in as decoration once we're done with the build. So before I start on the main part, public transit is definitely going to be needed here, and I'm thinking the idea of putting in a railway station actually is probably a good one, because we do have a route following through here. So it's going through Sharon all the way around to Baked Plateau over here, so we could just add in an additional station, an extra stop for our park. So I'm thinking we'll go up in this space here because it's nice and relatively flat in this area, and I think we use the Seaside Resorts train station for this because that is particularly cute. So Let's actually re-put in our road here and make it a little bit closer so that we're not adjusting the rail line too much in this area. And try and get it along a relatively straight bit like that. We'll pause the game and then we'll just delete out this rail line that we've got in here, place the station in, and then we can go ahead and connect it up. And the connections are pretty smooth in this location, so I think that that should be fine there. Let's actually just delete this road and try and put it in a little bit closer to the front of our station here because we don't need kind of excess roadage on this. So let's talk about our main gate and main entrance for the moment. I'm going to have a gravel road that comes up like this, and then we're going to place actually the nature reserve main entrance on the end of it. Now, I can't align that nicely, which is super annoying. Let's go ahead and place in our main entrance here like that. Then we'll delete out this road. And then what we're going to do is grab our gravel road again with snapping turned off. I don't mind angle on. And we're going to place this right outside the front coming up to this road here. So that's our main entrance into the park area. And we're going to use a ton of park life props, mixing the different types in this. So I might even have some zoo assets, like a bit of a petting zoo. Might introduce some farm area actually into this as well. Maybe a pig field, I'm thinking. We're also going to have theme park assets. We're going to have nature reserve assets. I'd really like to do a kind of quad bike dirt track in the back around this sort of valley area as well. But we also do want to be introducing things like a pond and some of these other park assets, which can only be snapped to roads rather than the paths within our park in vanilla. So within that, what we're going to do is we're essentially going to combine a pedestrian area with a park area in this. So access to the station and to these other park assets is going to be via a pedestrian road. So let's go ahead and place that in. And I'm thinking we'll just use a bluestone road for this. I might do grass line because that would be nice. And we're going to bring this in right over this side. And we're basically going to curve this around sort of the boundary of the park. In fact, actually, that's not bluestone, is it? Although I'm kind of enjoying the cobblestone, actually. Let's maybe go for that. So let's snap to angle, and what we're going to do is we're going to loop this pedestrian road right round the edge of the park and up to the station up here. So let's get that connection a little bit more nicely in. And I think actually we will upgrade that to pedestrian road as well, just so we haven't got cars driving around our area. But then what we can do is introduce a dirt road into this. So again, like we're going to have dirt paths going around the main park area, and then some of our gravel roads integrating within that as well. So anything on the gravel road is going to have to be in a pedestrian area. Anything within the park is going to have to be in a park area. So it's going to be a lot of overlapping and a lot of district organisation to get this all in correctly. But that's the general idea for it. So we'll just bring this out here for now, and then we'll change up the design. But yeah, we'll have a few of these, I think, going into the park at various different places along here. Certainly down from this station area as well. We'll introduce a road down into the park. This could even be a path, actually. So we'll kind of leave it in there as a holding place for now, and we'll see how it goes. So, of course, we are going to need a pedestrian area to service the station so we can press play. So we'll cover this entire road and some of our gravel roads we've got going in with our pedestrian area. And we're going to want a service point, of course, for it as well. So let's drop that in down here, which is going to be around our car parks in this area. Like that. Now, of course, I'm thinking with this pedestrian area, we are going to want the policy to deliver everything so that it still affects the assets that are going to be on our gravel road, not just things that are on the pedestrian streets. I think that will work really nicely. And then I do just want to check as well with the train line that we do add in a station here. So let's drag the line to add in a stop. So now we have got access to the park from the train line back there. We also have what looks like a bus route down here. Yes, we do. So we definitely want a stop for this. So I'm thinking we'll actually just bring out a small bus stop with our pedestrian road like this, which kind of does look slightly odd. So we'll see how this goes. And then can we add in stops on here? Yeah, I think staggering them like that actually is kind of cute. So yeah, we'll bring that. So we'll have the bus line stopping in this separate area so it doesn't interfere with traffic along our main road here. And again, let's just make sure with this, in case we put buildings up here, yeah, that we're covering it within our pedestrian area. Now, of course, we also want to extend the park area. So let's go ahead and do that. And a lot of these back bits are definitely going to be more nature reserve and theme park assets. But we're going to have them all intermingled. So these districts are going to be constantly having to be adjusted for this particular build. But that's all part of the fun. So we'll put it in really, really roughly for now and see how that goes. But yeah, we've got a nice car park out the front. We've got our pedestrian area service point. And we've got transport options, so things should be all set up nicely to start designing out the park now. Okay, so there's a couple of key things that I want to put into this park before we start adding in some smaller assets. And one of those is actually a very small kind of boating lake in the middle of this area. So we're going to grab our terrain tools for this, and then we're going to create right in the centre here just a very shallow, very small lake area. That's maybe a little bit deeper actually than I probably want it here. So we'll go, yeah, about that depth. And then we'll just spread this out. And it doesn't have to be massive. It can just be quite a small area. And again, I'm thinking back to Lapa Valley, which I'm taking a lot of the inspiration from. And that has a very small boating lake in the middle of it. So that's really where I'm getting this idea from. We're just going to extend this down to the water here. So let's click pause. We'll remove this piece of road here. And we'll get it going over in a bridge. Like that should work nicely. And I'm wondering actually if we do upgrade the middle of it maybe to a truss bridge. Or perhaps a little European one. That's kind of cute. So yeah, I think we'll go for that there. And then what we do want to do is grab a fresh water outlet for this. So we're just going to perch this. Probably want it on the back of the lake realistically. We'll try and cover this up in rocks. But we're just going to place it on the side here. We may also need to put in a water tower somewhere just to have that excess water. So I'm kind of thinking over here might be quite a nice spot for that. Yes, we'll go ahead and add that and then hope, yes, we have got water coming out of there. And so we'll hope that this flows into our little boating pond nicely and then out into the main river here. We want this to be quite high up to the edge of the water here. So I'm just going to raise up the land slightly in the bottom of it. And then it may be that, yeah, we need to push down a little bit further as we come out into the river here to make a bit of a nicer mouth for our smaller river to come out into. And of course we'll do some detailing and some rock work around it when we come to do the detailing time-lapse, but that's actually looking pretty good. I'm hoping it's not going to flood because it is quite high up to the edge, but that's exactly what I wanted for here. Now the other thing I would like to do as well, again thinking back to Lapa Valley where I mentioned there was a railway that connects people to and from the park, like obviously we're not going to do that here. I was kind of thinking it might be a cute idea to bring a small rail line through the actual park so that we have trains running through it. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm fully aware that it's quite likely that the cargo trains running along this route are going to come through here, but I kind of think that might be quite nice. So yeah, let's just keep this coming nice and smooth. I'll go back to freeform for this so we can snap into the angle and then keep it coming. If we keep it going round the edge of the pond like this, and then we're going to flow it around the edge of the park, and we need to try and get it up this hill, which could prove quite difficult, and there's going to be some sharp turns on this. Like, this ultimately isn't designed for cargo trains to be coming up and down here, but it is quite likely that they will as a cut through to avoid that station, so we'll see how it goes. But I kind of don't mind if trains do flow through here. Okay, so there is a few large assets that I want to get in here before anything else, and one of those is actually the riding stables. Like, I think that would be a nice thing to bring in here, and clearly this needs to be on a road as opposed to a path. So let's start drawing out our road network through the park here. We'll grab our gravel road, and I think what we'll do is we'll curve this one round like this, and then have the riding stables kind of nestled in this side. So I'm thinking, can we put it in there? We can just about. Now the terrain has gone awful here, so let's do a little bit of work to tidy that up. We'll just flatten this back a little bit around the stables here and then do a little bit of smoothing just to make that slightly less severe. And of course we can then come in with a little bit of detailing. I'm wondering if we can even fit some rocks in here as well. Yeah, so we could fit in those with a little bit of tree brush around it. And kind of nestles that riding stables into that section quite nicely. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I'm thinking with this road here, I don't mind having level crossings in this area because ultimately it's not going to cause too much traffic. We'll have a few pedestrians, etc. going around the park, but it's not going to be anything particularly major. Now, of course, with that, we do want to check that our pedestrian area is extending down into our riding stables there so that they're covered by those services. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Then we can worry about that afterwards. But let's grab some paths and start drawing out a path network so we can get some more assets down. And I am just going to use nature reserve path for this. Like, I think that's definitely the most appropriate use here. And actually with this level crossing, let's bring this out round this way. Kind of leave it there for the moment. And then let's grab our path. We can connect it up into it. So it does mean with all of these roads running through it that actually there's going to be a lot of pedestrians that are cheating the system ultimately and not paying to get into our park, but that is okay. I am actually going to go ahead and move this water spawn point round just a little bit so we can fit the path through next to it. So yeah, that'll be okay like that. And then let's grab this, and we're going to run this alongside the train track actually here. Because again, I think in these adventure parks there are quite a lot of pathways that just run alongside next to rail, so nothing major there. And we're going to want a bridge to get over it as well. So let's start going up from this point here, and we'll just cross over it like this and then come straight back down the other side. I think we'll leave in nature reserve path for that because it looks kind of cool. Probably doesn't need to be that high actually. Yeah, we'll bring it down like that so it's somewhat equal on either side, but that then creates a nice pathway around our little boating lake here. So lots of detail to be added into that later on. Now I would like quite a large kind of cafe entrance area over here somewhere. So let's bring a path straight out like that, and then we can start having a look at some of our park assets. So I actually think we'll use the main park cafe for this and create a little area next to it. So we'll put in some tables and a bit of an extension to that as well. We definitely want some toilets over here too. Now, you don't have to snap things into the path, so that is something to remember with this. I'm thinking we'll actually use zoo toilets maybe here. Mix it up a little bit. Because they've got the tiles, it's slightly less jarring actually than the concrete on our main cafe. I'm wondering what amusement park cafe looks like. Well, that's actually not too bad. I think we might leave that and then we can extend it out. So let's just move this over a tiny bit. And we'll do some more detailing around that in the detailing time lapse. But at least that gives them a little entrance area and some facilities right as soon as they come in. We can join the path onto the road there so they can get around into the other spaces around this side too. And then I'm thinking over here, again, let's check our districts, make sure we've got Park District on this. Let's start to bring in some amusement park assets. Big Ferris wheel could be quite nice next to the lake and the railway here. So I think we will plop that in there. And I'm probably not going to use some of the bigger ones. I think they're a little bit excessive. The log flume ride could be kind of fun though. Yeah, so I think we'll go in there like that. And let's bring some path access to that. We'll just go straight out like so. And then again, we can bring in more park facilities around here too. So it could be maybe we do a little pirate boat right on the edge of the water down here. That could be kind of fun. And perhaps we add in a little restroom area here too, which could be accompanied by some props and some food trucks or something like that around there maybe as well. So it's just another additional area that they can get to. Now, of course, we've got things like the trampoline park. That would be fun to bring in. The playground. Like, there's a whole ton of assets that we could use in here. So I'm going to go ahead and plop a few more of those so we can get an idea of layout. And then we're going to come on to our quad biking track. had finished placing the buildings, our carousel has burned down, and it made me think I'll just check services around this area. Now, healthcare, there's really nothing. There's a bit in Sharon over there, but it's not really reaching out to here. Similarly for fire, we've obviously got the big fire helicopter depot over there, and we've got the fire watchtower, but actually the nearest fire station really isn't stretching round to here. So I'm thinking I will bring in some fire at the very least service, and I was wondering actually if we could plop it at the top of the hill here. It almost looks like an old little signalling box for the rail line. I don't know if I'm kind of inventing that up in my mind, but I quite like how it looks there on the rail track. And that should give us some better fire coverage, at least for this area. Not perfect, but at least it's pretty close and it has access to some of the areas around the park there. I think we'll do that. Of course, this is within the park, so the normal fire service wouldn't even be able to access this area anyway, but yeah, maybe that'll help. And I'm wondering if we should as well just drop in a very small police station, perhaps next to it. And then it kind of creates a little mini, like, village up this area, is what I was thinking. We don't really have anything similar from medical, though, so I think I'll probably leave that. But one building that might be kind of fun to incorporate into the bottom of where we're going to put this quad biking track, I thought was the child healthcare clinic. Like, I know this is a super odd place for it because there's no real residential around here, but we're going for kind of looks over actual practical usage here. And the thing is with this is it does have the concrete front on the car parking spaces, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense, although it does appear like cars are getting through our pedestrian road anyway and parking in the park, which is just something we can't avoid in vanilla, so we'll choose to ignore it. But here we've got this little playground at the back, and I was kind of thinking this could be like a sort of education centre. So like if schools were visiting the park, they could come here, and maybe this is like a centre for education for some nature stuff around the park. I have also added in this antelope enclosure from the zoo pack, and I thought this could kind of act as a bit of a petting zoo. Like, I know you wouldn't want to pet antelopes, but maybe we could pretend that they're goats or something that the kids might actually be able to pet and enjoy. I had considered trying to bring in an animal field from the farm down here, but just with the road layout and the size of the space that we've got to utilise, it just didn't work. So we're going for antelopes as our petting zoo. We can use our imagination, right? But yeah, so we've got a variety of assets plopped in. Obviously, there is a ton of detailing to do around that. So there's loads of props that I want to put in to extend out cafe areas and eatery areas. I might try and put in a little makeshift platform with a bit of concrete path, I'm thinking down here, which we can experiment with now. So I was thinking, yeah, if we lined this, let's turn off snapping here. If we lined this with a little bit of pavement path, we'll go to freeform so we can get around this bend as close as we can to the railway track. So something like along those lines, and do the same thing the other side. And I'm not so minding that the station is on a bend here, because for these little like model railways that this type of park would have in it, they're often quite a bendy and not exactly uniform, so I think that sort of works for here. And perhaps as a little kind of station ticket house, we could also add in the main information booth here. So that sort of acts as a little station along there, which I'm quite enjoying. I quite like that. I did wonder if we could put it down by the piggy train as well, which I've done right up close to our main little train line here, which I thought was a nice touch. I was kind of thinking this souvenir shop could act as a bit of a station over this side. But if we try and get in concrete paths here, annoyingly they just snap to the paths around it. So it doesn't really work in exactly the way that I'd kind of want it to in this area. So I think we'll just leave the one little station down here. But yeah, I'm liking the layout so far. I did bring in the Nature Reserve Museum down here as a big kind of focal point. I'm thinking what we'll do is add benches and picnic benches alongside the river's edge. And then we're going to have a boating station somewhere as well for people to pick up their canoes to get out onto the actual lake. I mean, the water is running quite fast, so maybe it's a bit dangerous for the small kids. But again, we can use our imagination for that, I think. So yeah, lots of that type of thing to come. But let's come on to the quad biking track. So I'm going to start by removing the trees in this area again, just so that they're not sitting underneath the roads that we're going to be putting in here. And I am going to use gravel road for the outlines of our track, and it's going to be bumpy. It's going to go uphill. It's going to be kind of cross country, exactly like you would expect for a typical quad biking track. I want it to sit in this back area. And one thing I'd really like to do with it is almost add like a bit of a pit lane in. So I was thinking if we take a little bit of industrial road here and try and line it up next to our gravel road, we could potentially kind of have this as a bit of a pit lane entry. We join it in sort of like that. And I'm thinking the main road can come up this way. Let's snap into angles so we get a nice 180 degrees out of there. And come in this way and sort of serve up to this point. And then I think we'll connect the paths in from here. That can kind of be the end of it. But just to make sure that any buildings we put out here have access, let's also join it up this side. Because then I'm thinking, like, for a pit lane, it would be kind of cool to have a couple of industrial buildings for this. And I'm thinking there's a very specific 3x2 asset I would quite like in here. And there's another 2x2 as well. So I'm going to see if we can get those to spawn in. Anyone who's watched my Fewnilla County series will know I have a bit of challenge when it comes to getting the right industrial assets spawning in. It seems to take a while for me. But we'll see. We'll see. We don't have any industrial demand as well, which may not help with this, but we'll see what we get. And we can change it up if it doesn't happen. But let's just have a little look at our tracks. I'm kind of fine with it being super duper bumpy and up and down, because when you do like these sort of cross-country quad biking tracks, if anyone has done them, they're very much like all over the place in terms of the terrain. So I definitely want to kind of use that. And I'd quite like to keep this little stick here as well. Stick? Oh, I should say fallen down tree. So let's try and avoid that with our track, and we'll come around this side. And then perhaps we'll go up the hill again here. And I may adjust this as we go on, as we see kind of how it actually looks in reality. I'm thinking we'll bring it down this mountainside like this. And then bend it back round. Now I'm going to turn off zoning here so it doesn't interfere with our industrial zones this side. And then, yeah, we're going to loop it back round here, have a really sharp kind of off hairpin bend, slightly odd angles down this side. And then we'll bring it back into the pit straight like that. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking for the track. And it obviously needs a lot of decoration. So I'm going to be putting rocks and trees and undergrowth and bushes and various things around this to make it kind of sit in and feel right. And we definitely want some kind of park, cafe, entertainment area for people sitting watching out this side. But alongside that, I was thinking maybe we could add in a smaller track for maybe some younger kids as well. So I was kind of hoping we could squeeze that in here if we can. Because these are roads, this path actually isn't going to snap into it, which is good news, but we definitely don't want little kind of sections like that snapping in. So we'll see what we can do here. I'm thinking I just want a really simple loop, something like this. But it's maybe a little bit close to the road, and with the lights it's a little bit disturbing as well. But if we add a bit of fencing to it, I think we can use our imagination. So it's sort of like one of those tracks where kids who are a bit smaller, who can't actually go on the quad bikes, can use those kind of push-on bikes. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to bend it around those ends, so we may need to adjust this a little bit. And I am thinking it's maybe a bit too close to the road, so let's scrap this. Let's move this road and we'll adjust it and make sure we've got space for this. Yeah, I was thinking something along those lines, which, I don't know, it's a little bit makeshift, but I quite like the look of it. And it gives the general effect of what these things do look like in real life. So, yeah, an absolute ton of detail in to make this all come to life. But I think you sort of hopefully can see the type of thing that I'm going for here at least. And I wonder if actually we could use one of the hotels and retreats cafes in here. It has got the concrete texture on our dirt path again, but we may need to just ignore that, unfortunately, for the sake of this. Yeah, that one's quite a nice design. I think we can position that in here. A few more benches. We definitely need lots of fencing around this to make it feel realistic as well. And I'm hoping those industrial buildings will spawn in to give us a bit of a like pit lane storage for the quad bikes in this area. That's the type of thing that I wanted to go for there. So I have now got all of the main assets that I wanted in here. So we've kind of got this like playground area over this side with the random birthday cake, which I just thought was a bit of fun. Like for an adventure park, I think it's fun to have things like that. Obviously, we've got a few amusement park rides scattered around the place for entertainment. We have got things like the botanical garden as well, a little bit more serious. Got skate park down here, which will be by the main entrance cafe for kids to kind of enjoy that. We've obviously got the riding stables as well. I quite like to sort of hook in some pathways to the side of this if we can make it fit. So I'm thinking maybe a gravel path. We can just sort of sneak it in a little bit cheesily to make it seem like the horses could come out and maybe use some of these gravel roads as a bridle way, perhaps, around the park. I think it would be nice there. Then we've got things like the log flume ride over here. I think we will create another small station around this side, which might be quite nice, like similar to what we've done here. Definitely need bits of fencing around this, but it is time to come in with detailing. So it's going to be lots of props, lots of fencing, and lots of trees and undergrowth. And hopefully all of those things will really bring this park to life. So firstly, I do need to say, in my pure excitement about doing a build in Egg City, I did completely forget to mention that he is building in Fewnilla County this week. So if you're expecting to see that episode, you'll need to head over to Egg's channel. There is also a link in the description of this video, and it'll also be on my community tab, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. So keep your eye out for that if you're wanting to see Fewnilla County. And anyone who's new to my channel as well, please do hit that subscribe button. I do modded and vanilla series currently, so there's something for everyone on my channel if you enjoy my style. I'm pretty detail heavy, not that dissimilar to Egg really. And as you can see here, we have a massive family fun part. So I'm actually really pleased with how this has come out. Like, it nestles into this sort of valley around this train track really, really nicely. Actually, there's some really nice views from it down towards the downtown as well. Really love this, crossing Sharon and Karen and all the other amazing names that Egg has in this city. And also, before I do just dive into what we've done, I do want to talk about the name. Now, we've got Katka Cabins and Camping over here, so I thought I'd go along a similar line and we'd call this FewC's Fantastic Family Fun Adventure Park. I couldn't think of F's for the end, but there we go. We've got FewC's Fantastic Family Fun Adventure Park. And I really hope that Egg likes it and all of you Orchid Bay people approve of the build and hope it blends into the city all right. So yeah, let's just run through it. So I mean, around the car park, I've not done too much apart from fencing it in, just finishing this all off with a little bit of old familiar hedge detailing. Around the bus stops, just added in a park information booth just to kind of finish that off, and it's quite a nice thing, people hanging around there. And we're getting a ton of Sims going up and down this big pedestrian path down here up to the station. So I've fenced this all in, hedged it all in. Yeah, here you go. There's a ton of people waiting. So it is quite a popular stop, it would seem. And entering into the park this way. We did add in information booths on every single road entry here. There's kind of security booths, imagining like trying to charge people to pay before they go in. But obviously we know that's not actually happening. I think it has reached level 2 now, or it's just about to at least. So we are getting visitors through the main gate. It's just not really making that much money, but that's not really what it's about. It's more about aesthetics and kind of trying to create that sense of realism. So we've done some hedge patterns around various different places in the park. I really like how these little stations have come out with these little ticket booths and some benches and some fencing around it. I think it sort of makes it look like it's a bit of a model railway makeshift platform there. It is a little bit strange when the cargo trains come through, but they're not that regular, so I feel like it's okay. If Egg doesn't like it, you can always just delete the connection onto the main line. And then we've still got the aesthetic of this rail line running through the park. So we do have one station over here and another one over here as well, so they sit in quite nicely, I think. And then around the entrance, we've just done this kind of like open little plaza around the cafe here with the skate park right next to it, so the parents could sit there and wait till their kids aren't misbehaving too much over there. Then we go down to the museum building, which I've tried to make kind of look like a bit of a restaurant with this seating along the riverfront here. So I quite like how that looks. And then a little boat hire area where you can get your canoes out and get onto the boating lake over that way there. I've very much tried to hide the water outlet, but unfortunately it's very difficult to do that in vanilla. So this is what we're left with, which doesn't look fantastic, but it's okay. We can kind of imagine that it's not there. And then round the rest of the lake, we've just added in a few little benches, this repeated tree pattern and a couple of rocks here, just to keep it nice and natural. But I kind of imagine sitting on one of these benches looking out onto the boating lake. And then we've kept a lot of this very natural around here. There's not too much detailing going on, just surrounding our, what we're going to call our little petting zoo area. The carousel, we've got little food truck eatery areas dotted all around the park. So one here. Got a ton of benches around our adventure playground. I really tried to make this look like it was sort of one playground with this gravel path running through it, and the extra playground props over here, but I hope that's kind of come together, and with all the benches it does sort of start to blend in quite nicely. Added a little outdoor gym asset up here as well. So yeah, that's that area, and we've also added in, a bit sneakily, but it is vanilla assets, using Find It, a castle ruins tower here, because Lapa Valley, that I was taking inspiration from for this, has a big tower in the middle of it, so I thought that this could kind of like do for that, in a sense, people could climb up it maybe, just up to the top of the ruined bit. I also put a couple of cannon props outside. I was thinking the kids could sit on those for photographs or something fun. And then we've just gone around, we've done lots of fencing around the whole park, just to help make it feel a little bit nicer when you're walking along the paths. And then of course we come down to my absolute favourite bit, which is this kiddie ride-on car thing. Now I know they're on bases, but we have to kind of use our imagination and take the bases away. Then it does sort of look like cars going around a track, and I've tried to sneak a few in on the edge to make it feel like it is actually being used where I could. I think that has worked nicely. Again with the benches here, looking out onto the quad bike track. We did eventually get some industrial buildings in here, and then I'll just use some pathway to kind of vanilla surface paint around it. But that sort of looks all right, I think. And with the fencing all around the track, I really actually like how this looks now. Like, it would be a fun ride, I think. I've used fencing on a lot of the hairpin corners so that they don't kind of fly off the end as you would find in a real quad biking track such as this. Lots of nature and rocks all the way around it, and a couple of watchtowers as well, because I thought, you know, the stewards could sit in these little watchtowers that are dotted around the place and check for anyone crashing on the track or any safety issues like that. So yeah, there's a few of those all around the track. Yeah, really pleased with actually how that sits into the corner. Like, it looks all right there. It's just a shame we can't actually put actual quad bikes going round it in vanilla. And then up on the hill I did add in a couple of sneaky more castle ruins, but I think it works here with a couple of viewing platforms, and there's some really nice views from these actually. So this one kind of looks out over the park, but this one over here, get a really nice view down the river through to the downtown with Mad Mountain there in the foreground as well. Like, really like that little view and like how that has turned out. I think that was kind of the main bits to it. So there's a lot of small, intricate, fiddly things and a lot of trees really just to finish it off. But yeah, super pleased with how it's come out, and I just really hope Overcharged Egg and all you Orchid Bay fans approve. So for today, that is going to be it. If you have enjoyed the video, please do drop me a like, comment and share. It really helps with the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button as well. And do not forget to go over to Overcharged Egg's channel. Give him a subscribe if you're not already, and watch the latest episode of Fewnilla County. He's done an amazing job on that. And I of course want to say a massive thank you to Egg for letting me build in Orchid Bay. It's like seriously an honour. I'm relatively new to making vanilla content on YouTube, so for him to have faith in me that I could do a build in vanilla is really very flattering indeed, and I really do hope that he likes it. And thank you so much again. I really enjoy these collabs and I hope you do too. But that's all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.